So in today's video, I'm going to give you 10 ways to reduce stress and improve your mental health.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise I won't quit.
The thing is, it's nowadays so easy to get lost in all the stress, the fast-paced life, all the things we should be doing, the tasks we have to get to, family, friends, taking care of business, work, then it's this, then it's that. And by the time we get home, we try to escape with Netflix, social media, mindlessly scrolling, or we start going to other forms of escapism, such as drinking, substance abuse. And the thing is, unless we start coping with our stress, it's easy to become a slave and a victim to our own stress. And if we don't cope with stress, depression, anxiety, other mental health disorders, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol problems, these are just a few things that can happen if we don't start dealing with our stresses. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 10 things you can start doing to start taking back control of stress. Either you will take control of stress or stress will control you. Those are the only two options we actually have. Number one is exercise. Exercise is one of the most beneficial things to cope with stress and also increase mental health and physical health. When we exercise increases endorphins, and endorphins is like our feel-good hormones, neuromodulators and everything. They make us feel better, so it's a win. Also, an upside of exercise, it increases glucose flushing, which means we are more sensitive to insulin, which also helps prevent diabetes in the long run. Another very important one here, if we exercise early in the morning, we actually increase the quality of sleep we have at night, which then actually helps us reduce the cortisol we start with the next day. Number two, mindfulness. I think this mindfulness has a lot of different terminologies and different definitions to it, but the core of mindfulness is just being in the present, starting to pay attention to what is in front of us right now, what is happening, and then taking action in the present. We are so good at going to the past, thinking about the past, living in the past, the coulda, the shouldas, the wouldas. Then we jump to the future and we start projecting all the future things coming from the past. The thing is, we can only exist in one place really. It's the present, physically in the present. But how often mentally do you spend time in the present? This is where mindfulness is very important. Paying attention to how we're feeling. What is the task at hand? What is the action at hand? Catching myself, am I going to the past? Am I projecting the future, which then can increase anxiety? Also, people who practice mindful meditation, that can increase the gray matter of the brain, which then rewires the brain to actually enable us to be more present and do the things we need to be doing in the present. But also, a lot of us find it very uncomfortable to be in the present with our own thoughts and our own emotions. If that is the case, there's a lot of work we need to start doing to unpacking those things. Number three is yoga. The thing is, yoga is like mindfulness, but for the body. It teaches us to slow down, pay attention to our physical body, muscles, movement, physical cues. And at the same time, it also brings us to the present. So it's connecting a physical exercise with practicing the mental side of being anchored into the present. It's also a very good place to start a physical practice at the same time developing a mindful practice. Number four is breathing exercises. Breathing is a very overlooked thing a lot of times, and it has a lot of power to actually calm us down. And a simple method of breathing is box breathing. Think of a box, 4 sides. 2 seconds in, pause 2 seconds, breathe out 2 seconds, pause 2 seconds. Repeat for 10 to 15 times, and that will actually bring down your heart rate, your blood pressure, and it will calm the vagus nerve, our central nervous system, which then is easier to come back to the present, detach from that mind of yours that's racing, and just get back to the present. If you can do more than 2 seconds, go for a 3-3-3-3 or a 4-4-4-4-4. Play here with your own lung capacity. So it's breathe in for 2 seconds, pause, breathe out, pause, and breathe in. Do that 10 times. You'll be surprised how a lot more calmer you are. Number 5 is spending time in nature. Mother Nature is an awesome antidepressant, a calming agent. Being in nature, between the trees, getting your hands dirty, getting your feet dirty. We are biological creatures. Don't discredit the importance of nature has on our mental health. It's easy, it's cheap, you don't need to do a lot. Get in nature, try to at least spend 30 minutes 3 times a week in nature. Number 6 is social connections. We are social beings. We thrive in a tribe where we can communicate, talk, help each other, keep each other accountable, and actually just have a good time. Friends and good social connections are vital in order to cope with anxiety, stress, depression. It's also very important to actually have a bit of a friend audit. Thing is, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. I'll repeat that. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So either those 5 people are bringing you down or they are actually bringing you up. If you realize your social circle is actually bringing you down a lot, then maybe it's time to reassess those friendships and start looking for new friendships. Because of the law of mimetics, where we mimic our environment, we mimic the people around us. That is why you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So ask yourself, that average of the 5, is that making you the person you want to be? Or is that taking you away from the person you want to be? Number 7 is sleep. Sleep, again, I can't overemphasize the importance of sleep and how detrimental the lack of sleep is to our health. Try to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. If we don't get enough sleep, it increases anxiety, it can increase our depression, increases stress hormones, it makes us less sensitive to insulin the next day. Mentally, we don't have the clarity to do the hard things we know we should be doing. So it's easier to give in to all the bad coping habits we have. So set yourself up for victory in the morning by having a good night of rest. Number 8 is my main wheelhouse, and that is having a healthy diet. The thing is, highly processed food isn't going to help us physically or mentally. Your body can only be as strong mentally and physically by what building blocks you give it. The thing is, the body has to rebuild itself, constantly being catabolic, anabolic, breaking down, rebuilding. Now, that rebuilding process can only be as good as what you give it. And remember, the brain is also an organ. The brain needs nutrients. It needs sustenance. So if your brain doesn't get what it needs, do you think you're going to function optimally? Definitely not. So start having a wholesome diet. Think of food closest to its natural source. You must be able to see what the food was. That's a good starting point. How processed it is not a good thing. The rule here, if we have to take a perfect plate of food, half of that plate being fruits or vegetables, 25% of that plate being lean proteins, and 25% of that plate being whole, unprocessed carb sources. If that is the plate of food you're going to aim for 2-3 times per day, you will be surprised physically the difference you feel and also psychologically. We don't have to overcomplicate this. The 50-25-25 rule is an awesome way to get started. Number 9 is practicing gratitude. The thing is, it's easy, as I said at the beginning, to get lost in all the hustle and bustle and all the things we have to do. And that then takes away where we can actually pause, be mindful, as remember I said, and actually pay attention to what do we have. Be grateful for the small things around us, the things we see, the things we have. We are so good at chasing the next victory, chasing the next thing to buy, chasing the next promotion. Do we actually stop and pause and appreciate what we have? No. So we're just on this hedonic treadmill, constantly chasing the next thing to make me happy. You know what? Everything you have right now can make you happy if you just start looking for it. Good exercise here before bed. Take 5 minutes. Write down 5 things that happened today that you are grateful for. What happened? It can be things you have. It can be things you've seen. But just 5 things that you are grateful for today. If you really want to up the ante, tomorrow morning when you wake up, spend 3 to 5 minutes being thankful for what you have around you. Maybe it's your cup of coffee in the morning, seeing the sunrise, having a roof over your head, having slept well, seeing your kids in the morning. It's literally just taking small minutes out of the day, pause, be grateful for what you have instead of what you don't have. We are so good at chasing what we don't have, we forget about what we do have. And number 10 is seek professional help. If you feel a lot of this is just getting too much, it's not a failure and it's not a weakness to ask for professional help. There's a ton of good therapists, coaches, dietitians out there that if you start getting a team of support that can keep you accountable when things go rough, you'll be surprised the value you can find in that. Because a lot of times it's difficult for us to analyze and adjust our own habits and triggers because we are in them. A lot of times it's good if there's an outside party able to question you, make you see things from a different angle, guide you on a different path maybe. But it's more about opening your eyes to a different view because we get lost in our own view. If that's something you need and something you are thinking of, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Send me a DM. I've got a lot of materials and information I can send your way. But remember, asking for help is not a weakness, and it's also not failing. A lot of time, asking for help is the best thing you can do right now for yourself to get to be the person you want to be. In conclusion, start with these 10 things. Remember, dealing with our stress takes time. It takes practice. And just doing one of these things one day a week is not going to be enough. Life is very stressful. We have a lot of things going up and down, left and right. Things happen. This is where we need to cultivate the habit of coping with our stresses. These 10 things, don't have to do all 10 at one time, and I suggest you don't try to do all 10 in 1 week. Start with 1. Aim to do it 3 times a week for 5 to 10 minutes. Then do it for another week. Add another few minutes. Once that is a habit, okay, now maybe you can try the next one. But dealing with stress and mental health is a continuous practice. We can get better, but we can also get worse.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise I won't